Good afternoon. This is Joan Conover. This is Seven Seas Cruising Association. Let's wait for a few more minutes for participants to come in, and then we are live streaming this to some participants. I'm going to recognize Tuddy Lee as a participant and allow him to talk. Tuddy Lee is coming in from Guatemala. He's really in charge of one of the SSCA Clean Wake projects we're going to talk about as we describe our programs. Give a few more minutes as people come in. This is SSCA Cruising Association, and this is one of our new member programs and welcomes. I'm your host, Joan Conover. Our boat is Growl Tiger. I'm also president this year of SSCA. You can find our website at www.ssca.org, and I'm hoping that all of you have already checked out your accounts, have passwords and logins. What we will cover: introduction and webinar participants. And I introduced Tuddy Lee, who's coming in from Guatemala. I hope he will be able to talk. I'm going to talk about your contacts with our organization, something about your profile that you have as a member, membership information. I'll do a website walkthrough. I'll talk about programs in SSCA, and then we can have questions and answers. You will see a chat bar. You can either chat on the chat screen, and that shows up and we can talk to each other, or you can answer via questions and answers, which is typed in. But I also will ask, and you can raise your hand and ask questions as we go. Now, contacts. Our SSCA office phone is open weekly from 8 to 5, and you can see the number 754-702-5068. The office email is office@ssca.org. Your key contacts are editor@ssca.org, cruising stations, media if you have something to announce or press release, and myself as president at ssca.org. You can send articles or letters to the editor, to editor@ssca.org, and we also do a newsletter that you could send the same information to. The forum is a very critical part of the website. You can post, you can connect, you can ask questions on listed topics, and you can subscribe or turn it off. On the forum, I recommend if you're offshore, you turn off the forum in your membership so it doesn't go to your email. And you can determine if you get email or not based on how you subscribe. There is a new mentor program. They're there for you, single sideband, technical cruising, and I'll show you how to reach out to them. Locations and cruising topics. We have cruising hosts, about 150 worldwide. There are cruising stations at ssca.org, but I'll also show you how to reach out to individual hosts. Your board of directors is myself, Joan Conover. Tom Cordero is vice president. He is from Puerto Rico and is a wonderful resource for the Northern Caribbean, or frankly, he's delivering a boat right now and is in Puerto Rico. Skip Gunlix is a long-term board member, also our interim secretary. Joy Carey is on the West Coast. Vicki Lane is in Panama. Kingsley Ross is in Florida. Beth Vandigen is in Antigua right now, although she will be back in Virginia shortly. And Treasurer Don Gillings lives in the Gulf of Mexico area, but he's on his trawler going up and down the East Coast and back and forth and around. He's come through the Panama Canal from the Pacific. So we have quite a few experts on the board. So let's talk profile and membership. You have or should have received a login, and up on the left side, you will log in, and you will see a pull down that says profile under your login area on the top left. On the website, there's also a profile button. It's an icon. If you click on that, it will bring you to the page that says SSCA membership, and you can see where it says your SSCA member profile, and I'll show you what that looks like. It also leads you to the directory system. Your photo album, you can actually post your own photo albums for yourself and others to share. There's a fleet map, and that's why it's important to fill out your profile, because you're going to add your MMSI number that puts you up on the fleet map if you have AIS. There's a SSCA mentoring program. There is an HF radio program and more. On the left side, you'll see upcoming events and news on all the pages, and you will see at the top guidance buttons. I mentioned the profile. This is your member profile. You either get it from underneath your pull down, or you can get it from the profile area on the website. You have 4 areas that are important to fill out. Your basic member information, but the additional member data, which is in the middle, right there, has your boat name and your MMSI number. So be sure to fill that out. It gives you some information to share with others. There's a standard member directory where you can set up your pictures, your information you want to share. You can also change your username and password. There is a mobile app you'll see that you can load on your iOS or Android. And I use it as I drive down the road because I can actually get to the directories and find people's names and call. At the very bottom, you'll have more member options that you have. Histories, you can find a transaction history. That's more finance or events.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I can hear you, Teddy. And forums, that's where you will sign up and for a forum if you want to post to it or read to it or get forum information sent to you. And then there's more website functions with interests, photo albums, and whatnot. This is all a standard package that we have for our members. You'll see across the top, you'll see a blue area where it says Home, About Us, Membership Services, Destinations, Publications, and Events. Those are all pull downs, and you can select from those areas as well. At the far left side, you'll see a search button. That's just been added. Now, how to find members and hosts and mentors. If you go to membership, the pull down will pop up and it will say SSCA directory, or you can go to the connect icon or to the profile icon on the home page. But the membership menu panels also are a rapid way to get to places. This brings up how you find your members. You can do them by country, you can do them by name, you can do them by boat name, you can do it by state. And then there is the way to find your hosts or your mentors. And that's this area where it says any. You'll see a little down area. You just push the down area and it brings you all the different mentors that you can reach out to or the hosts. You can also find the hosts under your the cruising host area on the website. You can actually make a whole list of all the hosts if you wanted to scan through them all, because you may not know their name. But if you put in under the any area, if you put in host and you put the country in that you want, it will bring the host up in that location or state. Now, the Cruisers Bulletin and a newsletter we do outreach with. The Cruisers Bulletin, the editor at SSCA does this one. It's a monthly email and a PDF online, as well as years of PDFs online. It's a tremendous blast from the past if you want to read it. The newsletter, Cruising Times, is new. We've been doing this for a few months. It's just short email blasts of critical items. The forum, that's a website feature. You subscribe and use it to reach out to members, post comments, and reach out. And then be sure to utilize the mobile app. It uses the SMS texting ability on your phone or some sort of data similar, but it's a very low-end piece and it allows you to stay in touch. But be sure and set up and your subscriptions in your profile. Now I'm going to go over the SSCA website a little. And again, if you guys have questions, raise your hands. There's a chat box, and I can see some more people coming in. This is what the website looks like if you're not a member. There are some features that people can still see, but as a member, you are allowed a tremendous amount of access into data. The top area has the pull-down menus. The bottom icons will take you to places. You just can't access it if you're not a member. Upcoming events are on the left side, and below that is news. And again, the search tool. This is your member look. This is after you've logged in. So remember, up at the left side, you log in, and then you will it populates the full look and feel. Each one of those icons, those circles, are live, and it lets you go into those areas, and we're organizing it. It's a work in progress, but you have connect, advocacy, destinations, profile, video, and a knowledge base, which is where the folders are with much data, and then something about SSCA. Underneath welcome to the SSCA, you'll see 4 little buttons, and you don't need to join us, but the forum button takes you directly to the forum. The little red icon, which is going to be changed, is a quick little tutorial about the back end and pieces. And then there's the YouTube button, because we have a YouTube channel and there's a lot of material on board for you. And we have the search tool. Now the button's the connect button. When you click on that button, it will bring up a fleet map. And this is your AIS fleet map. This is boats actually moving. The first map you see is static. You click on it, it will populate all the boats. There's a lot of boats out there. All the ones that you see that are listed are actually boats in movement, because it's taking the AIS message from marine traffic and populating to this map. You'll also see the forum, because that's a connection. You'll see membership directory. You'll see the fleet map, something on how the mobile app works, how to reach the cruising station hosts, the mentoring program link, HF radio, and more. That's all of the connect buttons. You can connect the button, click on the button or on the circle. The advocacy button. This button takes you into the different areas where SSCA is an advocate for. We list our programs. There's a Google map. You can click on it. It will tell what's happening there. Under advocacy, it's not just one thing. And this is where I'm going to let, maybe, I hope Teddy can mention. Advocacy for SSCA is not just for cruisers out on the water. Advocacy is for the environment. Advocacy is for communities that we all love and share and visit. A lot of different programs under there. We do have a lobbying program with a lobbyist. We have a cruiser's right forum. So if something comes up, you can post the forum to alert folks. The Clean Wake program is under advocacy because we advocate for communities, which is something I'm hoping Teddy can mention. We have the cruising station hosts who advocate for you as you cruise to their areas. The other thing that's interesting on this, under this program, we've also generated letters to different government agencies to help support cruisers. For example, in Antigua, they needed their visas extended during COVID this spring. We had that happen. In New Zealand, they needed help. We've generated letters to the ministers, and also in Malaysia. So we are doing this as a nonprofit and as someone to reach out and help you as a cruiser. But it means connection and staying in contact. Now, Clean Wake. Clean Wake has an email address, cleanwake@ssca.org. There's a page. You can go to that page. You can click on the icons. It will bring up information about that program. And we also list the programs as we go down. Teddy, are you able to talk?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, very good. Good morning, everybody. I'm really sorry about counting into the microphone, but I was trying to set up my mic before the webinar started. We sailed into Guatemala more than 2 years ago, and last year we suffered 2 back-to-back hurricanes here in Guatemala. We set up a small group and named ourselves Friends of Rio Dos, and Joan stretched out to us and provided us with funds to carry out some of the work we've done here in Guatemala, giving back to the community. We handed out food bags, and most of the schools here in around this area were flooded. So we set up this group to rebuild desks in schools. That's how we first started. And because our name got out there, we are now involved in many different things, giving back to the community. And first off, I'd like to say thank you to the SSCA for providing us with funds to carry out our work. And it's a group of cruisers that have all got together, not most of the members, but we will make the member day. Yeah, I would just like to, we have fun doing what we're doing, and it's all possible by the help from the SSCA. Thank you.
Hey, Teddy, thank you for that. But also, if you go down the page on the Clean Wake
Yes.
area, you can see the video that we made to start off on this. They have an excellent Facebook group called Friends of Guatemala. We suggested that they put a payment system in place to PayPal so people could donate, but also monthly or when we can, SSCA donates our writing fees for articles in professional publications. Those funds go directly to Tuddy so that he can continue with the feeding programs and whatnot. We also have the SSCA Foundation that's also providing funding, but we're trying all we can. We do this for all of our groups. There's also a group in Dominica that Hank Schmidt with Offshore Passive Making is supporting. And you can see the other spots and dots that all have different Clean Wake programs, and you can find the information on the website. Teddy, did you want to add anything else, or does that kind of cover it?
No, I think that covered everything. Again, I forgot about the writing, the fees from the articles. And again, Joan, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, we may not be able to do a lot, but we can get the word out, and we are concerned for others. We're trying to help the communities and the environment.
Yes, very well. It's gone a long way, believe me.
So now let me add cruising destinations. This is another icon, and you will click on the little globe, and it will take you to this area. And what people aren't aware of, that's a destination map. And it back ends into our database. We just set this up this year. And what happens is you click on that icon, it will bring up a link. You click on that link, and it's going to bring up the organized data in the back end of the system, and everything that's going in there. We're rewriting cruising guides. We're putting new information in. We're hoping to get more information from maybe some of the people in Rio Dulce, Teddy, to maybe tell people a little bit about the programs there. We sometimes post our links to our videos there, but normally videos and information that are what we call infomercial or webinars are on the video pages. But this is PDFs. You can download them to your systems. You can take them with you. There's guides. There's everything that we can think that is useful that members send in is posted there, and you can actually submit a write-up if you would like. We have a boat, Soggy Paws, out in Indonesia, who is doing the organization for destinations, those files and folders, and she's doing a tremendous job, or they both are, Dave and Sherry McCampbell. The icon, the video, knowledge base, you can find YouTube links, the document library, the knowledge base, Seven Seas University videos. And I want to point out the Safe and Easier Cruising, and I didn't spell circumnavigation right, great, Summit. Spell check is never perfect. Webinars, information, and hot topics. We have a YouTube channel, and it's set up with playlists, and we have sponsors sending information in and more. And I see, I see a question here. We'll go to questions and answers in a minute. Programs in SSCA. We feel that you should connect and stay in communication and be able to find information. And that's what we're trying to set this website up to do. It's there 24/7, even if someone isn't on the phone at that moment. There's advocacy, anchoring, support to cruisers. There's mentoring and live the dream, which is what we're all trying to do one way or another. Cruising station hosts, we're worldwide. There's 150 of us. Clean Wake programs, we covered that. But there's also events, GAMS, which is what we call conferences or get-togethers. It's friendship, it's gathering, it's meandering in different areas. We will have an event in the Bahamas, March of 2022, February 15th at Lorraine's in Black Point. We will be at St. Pete's for the boat show speaking. We have been in Annapolis at the boat show. We've done a GAM there. We've done a GAM or conference in St. Augustine just in the last month. And we'll continue with that. We'll have East Coast areas, we'll do West Coast areas, and we'll do an event down in Panama and in Trinidad for New Year's. So there's things happening. You watch the events in the news, and that will, I think, help you follow along or join in. So thank you for joining SSCA. This is your organization. So what I'm going to do now, we had question answer. John has a question for Beth from Antigua. Current departure requirements flying back to US, testing available in airports. I have to see, I don't know if Beth isn't on right now, John. So what I'll do is reach out to her. She is in Antigua. She just arrived there. They've had a little bit of few challenges, I think. As far as I can tell, the changes in Antigua, there's nothing that's hit yet with the new COVID variant, but we're starting to see some closures, especially in Panama. And I think the biggest thing coming back to the US is you have to follow the US rules to enter the US. So you have to have flying to the US, you have to have the test before you leave, you have to be vaccinated, you have to have the test afterwards. So some requirements. On question and answer, that same question. So John, I think I covered that. Does anyone have any questions? Can I help you, or I can let you all talk? Ken, I'll let you talk. Sylvia, I'll let you talk. Terrence Berger, I can let you talk. And there is John. So everybody has been allowed to talk. If you want to, you can unmute your microphones if you have questions. I see Sylvia unmuted hers.
Hi, Joan, this is Sylvia. So I had a question about on the maps, there were different colored dots. Is there any significance in the meaning of those?
We were trying to figure out how to make one seem more significant than the other. This is, that using the Google Maps is the first time this year. So we're busy trying to figure out, well, what seems to make sense. Right now, we think that if something's really urgent, it should be red or yellow, but the other colors are just, we're going to have to come up with a, like a legend to say what the colors mean, I think.
Okay.
We're still in the design process, but we think that adding the Google Maps to back into the database makes it much easier to find things.
Yeah, and I appreciate the difficulties of sort of getting Google Maps figured out. So it takes a while.
We have had some volunteers pulling their teeth out. And I see Ken's unmuted, and John, any questions there?
Hey, Joan, this is Ken. Well, just a quick question on the Zoom call here. Are you all able to see each other, or are we just kind of talking?
Right now, you're just talking. I haven't figured out how to make, you should be able to be promoted to, let me see if I can make you a panelist. I can promote you to panelist. Let's see if I promote you to panelist. And can you come in? Can you see us now, or what does that do? I've got two panelists.
Yeah, now I can see,
Can you start your video?
Oh yeah. It says the host has stopped my video.
How can I haven't stopped anymore? How do I? Well, I don't know why.
Well, that's okay. Well, maybe, okay, let me see. I'm okay with audio. So, Joan, I think you know that we just sailed the Caribbean 1500. We're down in
Right.
Our sailboat is in Nanny Key, in BVI right now. I guess one question I have is, we are eventually headed down to Trinidad. We met a few cruisers in Annapolis who pulled out, hauled out, and are down in Trinidad. But we'd like to meet more cruisers that are in Trinidad. And so, what's the best way for us to do that?
I would reach out to Jesse James in Trinidad, who's our host down there.
Okay.
And it's Jesse James at Members Only Taxi. And after this, I'll remember to send you a link to his email address, but you can go into the directory and find Jesse James. He keeps in touch with everybody. He knows who's coming down to see him. So he's a really good resource in the Southern Caribbean.
Okay.
Also, are you aware of what happened with the one boat that went into St. Martin's?
Well, I heard a little bit, but I don't know much. So I'm interested in more details.
Yeah, we were, Judy Long, who's one of our members, was in touch with a boat and raised the problem after, well, we heard on the single sideband nets that a Mayday had gone out. When that happens, everybody is, kind of in this support role. But it turns out that there was a boat that had left Hampton with one of the rallies, not the Caribbean 1500, but they only left with 35 gallons of fuel and no water and 4 crew in a club racer. And so 7 days out in storms, you did have some weather, Ken. I think you noticed that.
Yeah.
They got into trouble, and they managed to wrap their sheets around their prop. They didn't have any fuel, so I don't know why they were yelling about that, but they did have some forestay damage because of that. So they were on the VHF radio. So a Good Samaritan boat, who had known they were ahead of them, they weren't part of the active rally, but they joined and helped, went to help, and they had fuel jugs and water. They got them the fuel jugs and water, but in the process of 2 days of trying to stay next to them, and they weren't able to heave to correctly, they broke their rudder shaft. Then they engine either seized or had bad fuel, and so the genset didn't work either. Unfortunately, the word buddy boat did not seem to strike a bell with the other 2 boats, and they left this boat. So we walk into the middle of, there's no boat around, rudder shaft's broken, they're having trouble with their engine. And we were able to use Predict Wind and chat on their little Predict Wind app and chat and figure out what was going on. It was a group of us, some SSCA, some not, we worked the boat down. The boat worked itself, really, tremendous sailing, worked itself down to St. Martin's, the Dutch side, and got towed in. But then there were more problems. And John Sutherland will appreciate this. We knew that Hank Schmidt was coming in with the NARC rally, and he didn't know this boat at all, but we reached out to him as soon as he got in. We called his wife, and his wife got a hold of him, and he got a hold of us. Turns out that this boat did not have a clearance document to get into St. Martin's. So it took 10 days to get permission to get that boat hauled. They just got hauled on Wednesday to see if they could repair. But it was just anything that could go wrong for that poor boat did. And the boat that was in distress took their fuel, took their water, and disappeared over the horizon to St. Thomas. I believe their crew may have left them. I know they did. And that was just difficult. I think the captain, after the fact, thanked them, but they're looking at significant damage to their boat. Really, really a sad situation. There's going to be an article in Caribbean Compass about it, a log from her, what's happened, but she also managed to break her foot. I cannot believe the things that happened. It was pretty bad, Ken. I just felt so bad. There's nothing we could do. All we could do was try to work with Ocean World and work with Dock Masters, and Hank met with them, and we did everything we could think of to try to get permission, but basically they didn't have the right document from departing the US, which I think you may have gotten. Did you get a CBP 1300 when you left the US?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they didn't. So bottom line is more countries are needing it. Go ahead and get that. If you have a single sideband, I
Yeah.
know, yeah, you may want to come up on the Coconut Telegraph. I think I sent you those frequencies in one of my emails. If not, shoot me an email and I will send you the frequencies for the Coconut Telegraph because it's running now. And it will put you in contact with boats up and down that are traveling through the Eastern Caribbean.
Okay. We're away from the boat for a couple weeks. We're back up in the hinterlands, unfortunately, but we're heading back down in a few weeks, and yeah, we'll get back on the SSB then.
I can put you in contact email-wise as well.
Okay.
Because it's a SSCA member on Kaluna Bill and Maureen. So just shoot me an email and I will put you in contact with them, and they're on the nets down there right now. And I'll also add Jesse James' email to that as well. I'm glad you got there safely. What is the situation there with COVID? Any issues?
No, they officially require masks indoors, even restrooms. They seem to be pretty tight on it, but then, you find like many places, the locals are not that concerned with it. So we tried to wear masks when we went indoors, but other than that, it was very easy to get into the BVI.
Oh, good. I'm glad to see that. And we have Terrence and Sylvia still, and John and Tutty is still there. Anyone and any other questions or anything? Anything for me?
Yes, this is John. Thank you, Ken, for that information. This business about not having any clearance documents coming into St. Martin is a little bit of a shocker to me. I bought my boat down there in 2012. I've gone into St. Martin, always from Bermuda, and I can't remember whether I certainly had nothing called a CDP 1300. I don't know what that is, but now I'm faced with coming over from the Canary Islands and sailing into Guadeloupe or somewhere else in the Caribbean from Lanzarote. And I understand coming out of Lanzarote, you're not going to get a clearance out of Lanzarote as opposed to, say, Gran Canary. I just plan on showing up with the usual insurance, the certificate of documentation, and my paid marina bill and yard bill and a few other things to show that that's where I was at last. If we got a problem with that.
John, what I think you're going to go to a French island.
I think so. On St. Martin, I always clear through the French side, and if we're
Right.
only within our little SSA group here, I might go into the Dutch through the bridge, and then I'll go over to the French side because they're a lot easier.
You can't go through the bridge and go to the French side anymore. You have to go into the French side.
Oh.
They closed the bridge they don't let anybody go through. They've got lockdown because of COVID.
Oh, okay.
So what I would do, you call Island World on the French side, because she checks you in there at a kiosk at Island World.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before you leave Lanzarote there, which is a beautiful place, I've been there, just be sure that you see if you can reach out to Island World on the French side.
On the French side of are we talking St. Martin?
Yes.
Okay, I'm planning on going to Guadeloupe.
Okay, but they're still the same situation, Guadeloupe or St. Martin's or whatnot. It's all French islands.
Gotcha. So call Island World before I leave Lanzarote and tell them I'm coming their way?
Yeah, just ask what's going on.
Okay.
Because they speak good English, and they'll probably give you the skinny or who to contact. But everything on those islands, everything's done electronically, and they're pretty laid back. They're pretty good.
And that would be Island World. I know Island Water World, I think, is the name of the marina that's less
Yes.
expensive. And that's what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, it's not the marina, it's the store.
Okay. Okay. The store right next to the marina or in the marina on
Right.
St. Martin. Okay. Island World Marina
Right.
store. Okay.
Right. Just call and ask her, because she's just say, I don't want to have happen to me what happened to that boat. And she'll probably break down into quite a discussion. That was pretty bad.
That was pretty bad. And Hank posted something about how, he helped out St. Martin a lot in the years past, and they made him sit out there and quarantine and not let him land and all of that. And my little story, when I bought my boat in 2012 in St. Martin, they promptly came out, the Dutch Coast Guard, and fined me $200 for not having a captain's license. I said, hey, I own the boat. I'm not chartering it. Here's my kid. Here's my mechanic. And, as a result of that, I got what I would probably have gotten anyway, which is a captain's license. But that was kind of outrageous.
Well, I think you should be okay, but I just know that what they're doing with these clearance documents, I think that they're using that to compare with your PCR tests and your vaccinations to make sure nobody's lying. Although how someone can do that when they come all the way across the Atlantic, I don't know. But they're just being very difficult. They're scared. So.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, Hank did a wonderful job for that boat. But we all try to help each other. So stay in contact and let us know how things are going, and have a good sail. When are you heading across?
January 15.
Okay.
I've signed up with the 7 Seas single sideband net.
Okay.
So I guess I'll be checking in with them, and I've got my Garmin InReach device going on. And this time I'm bringing my sextant, which I've never used and don't know how to, but I'm learning quickly on that. So in case we get into trouble with the Russians or the Chinese and they shoot all our GPS satellites out of the air.
Yeah, because they're messing up the AIS signals a lot.
Well, that's interesting, because I went on your site to see where Avocet is, and it is showing Avocet near Gibraltar heading southwest at 7 knots, and nothing after that. And we went to Lanzarote, and I have 2 theories on that. One, as soon as I left Gibraltar, and we didn't stop, we went nonstop from Banús in Spain. I figure we were out of range on our AIS sending unit to a land-based tower, and/or I simply turned the system off when I got to Lanzarote, and that's why it's not showing. Marinetraffic.com's not showing us there.
You have to turn your AIS on and let it catch up with the marine traffic to pick it up.
Right.
So it just got the one and not the other.
Have you got a host in Lanzarote by any chance? I know you mentioned Jesse James down there in Trinidad.
We have Gus Martin, who is there in La Palma, and we have Oliver Salinas, those 2. We did have a host in Lanzarote who was with the marina there, but she left and we can't get them to reply to our email. So, it's just the way it is.
I tried to book a reservation in the marina in La Palma when I was in Palma, Majorca, and they simply wouldn't take a reservation, as it was the situation with a lot of other places, because I was too many weeks away. And then, of course, we all know the volcano blew.
Right.
And I didn't make it that far anyway. So that was that.
Well, John, you be safe. Are you using a tracking map, or you're using the AIS tracking map? Are you using Predict Wind at all?
I'm using Oceans, OCENS.
Okay.
The weather net. I've got an Iridium Pilot, so I've got a very robust weather situation. And as you probably know, you get some wind and wave stuff off of your InReach device. And I've also thrown a little money at Chris Parker, who we will check in with from time to time, or vice versa if we need to.
Okay, well, just keep us posted, or keep me posted, because I'll keep an eye out.
Thank you.
And, you know, you saw what happened with the Ark. That was really sad. It was a boom came across and got the guy, I guess.
I did see that, and I told my crew that only one of whom did the crossing the other way a few years ago with me, that we not only use a boom preventer, but we also use a Wishard jibe easy. And I don't know whether that Ark boat didn't have a boom preventer or maybe it failed.
Well, but as I understand, it was a racing boat.
Yeah.
With, and he went north to get wind. And I don't know if you've been out there when those low pressure systems form, but we were off that area and had a low form. And I'm not kidding. It was 5 knots in one direction, very light winds. And all of a sudden it was from the opposite direction, 45 knots. I mean, like you snapped your fingers, 45 knots and a wall of water. And we have a 51-foot Morgan that is just like a tank. And we broached. So,
Well, Joan,
we were
that's
fine, but it wasn't supposed to be like that, but we don't use that router anymore. Chris Parker, I love.
yeah. Well, Joan,
Anyway.
that's not entirely encouraging. My wife, Marcia, is here with me, and she's opted not to do this crossing.
Well, you know, we had 2 of our kids, 18-year-olds on board. That was our crew.
Excellent.
And one of them is still sailing with us, and the other one's an oceanographer working in St. Croix. So, you know, you just watch the weather. And the idea of having a preventer is a really good idea, because you're going to get the wind from the stern of the boat, and it can really grab that boom. So you really need to. That's one thing you have to watch if you're going downwind with the trades like that, because they can pipe up. But it's a wonderful ride. We had beautiful weather all the way across. We had albatrosses. We had whales bouncing around us.
That just sounds terrific. The only thing I'm really concerned about is the swell. And if, as you said, we get a low pressure coming down too low, as we did about a month ago, that could be a confused sea. And it might be all about the swell direction.
Well, just sail for comfort.
Right.
You know, you just sail for comfort. Don't do what one of our crew did, which was he didn't like the slapping of the jib, so he tied the jib to a cleat and managed to pull a cleat out, a deck cleat.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I've cut my spinnaker pole down by 3 feet so that I can pull out my jib, and I don't have my spinnaker on the boat anyway because the thing scares me. We're not going to use it anyway, although I do have an ASIM.
Well, we just use mainly jib. We have the spinnaker up sometimes, but you have some big seas come behind you and in the trades, you know, so you want to angle them, and you may not go exactly where you think you're going to go, but just sail for comfort. And then at the end, you fine tune it.
Sounds good.
All right. Tutty, I see you're back again. Thank you so much for stepping in. I see Sylvia is still here, and I see John. Any more questions for me, maybe, or comments, other than it's interesting to listen to someone in Lanzarote or someone to be from Antigua or from Nanny Key in British Virgin Islands. But if no one else has questions, I want to thank you all for joining SSCA. I hope that you will take opportunity to use the different features that we have, that you stay in touch, and that we can help you as you make your passages. We all take turns doing these webinars, and we all take turns when boats need questions or whatnot. We have quite a few mentors. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it. And we will talk to you later.
Thanks, Joan.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, John. Bye.
So you're a member.
So are you.
I am,
You bet you are.
but I'm not here.
Leave.